So Ford CEO Jim Farley says, we have poured all of our passion and all of our Bronco and Raptor know-how into creating this absolute desert racing beast. It's the real deal. It's not for show and it's not for everybody, but for the people who love to get out in the wild, it's the ultimate. And only Ford could create a Bronco Raptor. Welcome back to Automotive Antics, guys. If you're new here, I'm Kevin, and since the Bronco Raptor debut, I have been milling this over for a while. There is a lot to talk about. I want to hear the comments down below. First thing, though, what sticks out to you the most? All right, what sticks out to you the most when you look at this picture? What is the very first thing that hits your eye? To me, it is the Fender Flares. Those Fender Flares are massive, massive. There is a reason they are so big, and that's because they're covering 37-inch tires. I thought it was going to get 35s, but then I'm like, well, 35s, that kind of doesn't make sense because the Sasquatch package is 35s. You're going to have to go bigger for the Raptor. 37-inch tires. Now, not only are the tires taller, but the entire track of the Bronco is wider. 9.8 inches wider than the base model Broncos. Holy crap. That is substantially wider. And obviously they're saying that it has to be wider for stability at high speeds in desert racing. Now they're also saying this is the first Ultra 4 race-inspired SUV ever. Now if you're unfamiliar with the Ultra 4, it is the racing division that hosts the King of Hammers desert racing. And it's pretty intense. So they have extensively modified the suspension on the Bronco Raptor as opposed to what you would get in, say, the Sasquatch. So obviously we got more ground clearance, we got more width, we've got a lot of suspension components, which we will be able to look at here in a second. But I want to cover, my first topic on this is going to be the engine, because this has been the most speculated part for several months on what kind of engine this Bronco Raptor was going to get. Now, it's been speculated for a long time that it was going to get the 3-liter out of the Explorer ST, and we were right. It is getting the same 3-liter twin-turbo V6 EcoBoost that you will find in the Explorer ST. Now, in the ST, it's making 400 horsepower and 415 pound-feet of torque. In the Bronco Raptor, Ford did not disclose exact numbers, unfortunately, not yet. But they said aiming for 400 plus. Now, I'm going to say plus in the range of, obviously, it's going to make more than the Explorer ST. But how much farther are they going to push it? I'm guessing, strictly I want your guess down below too. My guess, it's going to be probably somewhere around the 430 range, give or take a couple horsepower. I think 430 horsepower and about 450 pound-feet of torque. I think that's probably where they're going to put this. Because remember, it still does have to compete, at least power-wise, with the Rubicon 392. And that's putting out 470 horsepower. So it's not going to get as high, but obviously these two trucks are going to be made for two different things. 430 horsepower is my guess. I want yours down below. So 400 plus horsepower, I think that's pretty good. Now, there are reasons why this is the engine they chose, and I'll get that in the next video. But for now, the 3-liter EcoBoost V6, good choice. It's definitely bigger, better than the 2.7, which already is a great engine. I want your thoughts on that one. Transmission is still a 10-speed auto. Completely fine with that. I do like the 10 speeds. But obviously with the Bronco Raptor, suspension is everything, so we need to talk about that more. I did say that it was 9.6 or 9.8 inches wider. I was wrong on that. I was misreading something else. It's actually 8.6 inches wider, which is still substantially wider than the base model Broncos. So 8.6 inches wider, not 9.6 or 9.8, whatever I said. The axles on this thing are upgraded, and we're talking some pretty heavy-duty axles, guys. We're Dana 50s. In the rear, Dana 50 axles and Dana 44s up front. So trust me, you are not going to break this thing crawling over mall curbs and parking lots where I suspect most of this stuff's going to end up. Hopefully I'm wrong. What else we got here? 13 inches of suspension travel in the front and 14 inches in the rear. That is a 60% increase forward and 40% increase in the back. What else we got here? Extra frame support and reinforcement, B and C pillars, 50% more torsional rigidity. Obviously, you're going to need that if you're jumping. And like I said, since this is Ultra 4 race inspired, they're building this thing tough. 13.1 inches of ground clearance. That is a lot of ground clearance. Now, you do have skid plates and everything else under there to help if you do happen to bash it. Okay. So I'm reading farther into Ford's details here. I did mention 9.8 inches wider. That's not 100% inaccurate. The track width, they're saying the stance is 8.6 inches wider. But when you include the fender flares and the body panel, everything else, we're at 9.8. So at outside tire to outside tire, it's 8.6 inches wider. But fender flare to fender flare is 9.8. So that's where the difference comes in. I was reading it a little differently up top. So let's clarify that. Okay, so here's some pictures Ford gave us without the body on it, so we can have some good look at the suspension itself. And it doesn't take a trained eye to see that there are some heavy-duty components here. The upper and lower trailing arms and everything are super thick and heavy-duty. This is impressive for a stock vehicle. This is kind of stuff that you would normally put aftermarket to improve the flimsy, thin control arms that you would normally get. But this is impressive stuff. Now, it has a highly reputable Haas 4.0 racing suspension with the Fox 3.1 live shocks. Now, even the front, you can see the upper and lower control arms and everything are very thick, heavy-duty pieces. And I don't feel like Ford has spared any expense on the suspension of this Raptor. It looks incredible. We also get a nice shot of the active exhaust system and the valves that are going into the muffler. There's also a dump tube that comes off the X-pipe into the muffler. I'm not sure how that works. If anybody else has an idea how that works, I'm not sure, because obviously if the valves are open, it's going to just bypass that and go right into the muffler. But maybe if the valves are closed, that will dump down into the muffler, quieting the system down. That are my thoughts. I'm not sure. Just going off a picture here, it's hard to say. But obviously there's a lot of engineering and a lot of thought into this Bronco. I'm very, very impressed with it. I think Ford's just knocked this completely out of the park. Now, let's go on just aesthetic looks. Aesthetic looks. What do you think of it? Obviously, we have the Ford grille up front with the 3 amber lights. I thought it might have said Raptor or Bronco or something like that, but they obviously didn't go either one of them and just put Ford. Kind of thought, Raptor would have been more appropriate, or just keep Bronco. Looks nice. Obviously, the fender flares are massive. They stand out like a sore thumb. But the one thing I love the most about this is the hood. The hood on this thing is beautiful. Awesome black insert right in the center of it with 4 heat extractor vents, the Raptor logo on the side. This is a piece that I think many aftermarket companies are going to end up making for your base model Broncos. This thing's nice. I really, really like it. Then, of course, you also got the heat extractor vents on the front fenders as well. So, I mean, lots of heat extraction, making sure this thing stays cool. I just think this is a really nice, aggressive-looking Bronco. And you're definitely getting a lot for your money, which we'll talk about that at the end of the video, too, how much this thing is going to cost you. Now, the interior, I absolutely love. The steering wheel just blows me away. I love the steering wheel. It's a lot thicker than the other ones. At least it looks so. Leather wrapped, accent stitching, carbon fiber trim on the inside spokes and around the buttons. Got that big 9 and 3 notches with huge 10 and 2 grips. This is a gorgeous looking steering wheel. I'm so glad they put this in here. Got the racing stripe on the top. Bigger paddles, it looks like. Good looking steering wheel. Full digital dashboard behind it, or should I say gauge cluster. It looks like you get the bigger optional 12-inch screen. The seats are completely different. You get race-inspired Raptor seats. They have colored inserts. Well, they're not fully colored, but you can see there's some shading of accent colors in there. Colored stitching to match the interior. You got the orange seat belts in this one, more accent colors. So I think this interior is beautifully laid out. Absolutely night and day from all the other Raptor models. I'm sorry, Raptor models. What am I thinking? Bronco models that you're going to get. Like I said, you even got Bronco written in orange here. Orange, little bit of accent coloring there on the vent knobs. I mean, there's a lot of little touches here that I really, really like. Oh, now one other thing, if you watched the video, you might have caught this since I'm looking at this picture now. The side step bars can be removed. Now, I don't know under what purpose you would want to remove them, but these can be removed. You see Shelby Hall, who is the racer in the debut video, taking these on and off. So this is something this is going to be another modular type Bronco, just like all the other ones. There's a lot of pieces you're going to be able to take on and off and style however you want. Now, I would like to know if these could double as rock sliders. Reason I say that is because it looks as if when they're off, there could be rock sliders under the door. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm strictly going off this picture here that I'm seeing, but I don't know if that's true or not. I'm going to have to figure that out and get back to you. Now, how much is this Raptor going to cost? Well, it seems like starting price is going to be about $69,995. Of course, there's going to be options, so I'm sure this will creep up over $75,000, give or take. But base price, starting price for this is $69,900. And that's right about on par where I thought it was going to land. Honestly, I thought it was going to be landed a little higher, but $69,000 is pretty good considering some of the very well decked out base model Broncos with the Sasquatch and the, Big Ben, Wild Tracks. You get them really decked out, they're creeping up there on price well over $50,000. So this isn't bad. For what you're getting, $69,000 is a good price. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on the Bronco Raptor. But until next time, I'm Kevin, and I'll see you in the next upload.